good. Thank you.
Bob.
Diet Coke. I know. This one I just...
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Here.
I'll get you some more water.
What happened?
So, Faith, if we have time at the end, should we do a little Q&A with our members who are participating? Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah, because that's the 7 o'clock, right? 7. That's like 7:10 to 7:30.
My mom.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Tell her about FaceTime.
Yes, yes, Mr. Early.
There's how many people on your sub? 5.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot.
Screen, so you can see everybody who's there.
Yeah.
Are you going to do like
FOR.
a screenshot where everybody is there? Where we see?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so
Yeah, I told Erica because I want Bob to see everyone. So
all right, okay. Erica, can you send this to EAR?
so Eric cannot get in. They're trying to get him in.
G as in girl @gmail.com. Yeah, got that. Okay, she's sending it to you right now. Okay, she just
Give the phone number to Eric. Give phone number of Eric to Erica.
Is Jen coming?
She's gonna come in late.
Okay, because we're gonna need to leave at 6:30. Is that okay?
OYFORAG.
Yes.
And then
I'm
at
on
gmail.com.
And Matt wants to call you too. So I said call about 6:30. I'll call him at 6:30 for you.
I told Matt. Did you tell Matt to
Okay.
call in to join the Zoom?
No, I did, because I don't want to pick up the thing and
What is your number? I'll
although I
text it
could
to
do
you.
that. I could do that.
Okay.
Let me try.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
so they can see Bob.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Great idea. Thank you. I'll just get my phone.
You think we should go live at 6? Should we go live, Faith?
Yes, we should.
Okay.
Yes.
You're in?
Let's go.
All right.
The mixer.
Is Eric in?
Is he in? Okay.
Eric, are you in? There you go.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay, you're in. Okay, thank you.
Connecting.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, welcome. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Hey, happy COVID Thursday. Cheers. Everybody have a glass of wine, your cheese, your cookies, whatever you got. Let's enjoy and relax the Thursday afternoon. Welcome to the first ever of National Diversity Coalition Virtual Business Mixer. Welcome all. And I don't want to waste a lot of time because we're here until 7:30, and I'd like to introduce our speakers here tonight. We're gonna have, this is the agenda. I'm gonna have a chat with Bob Ginezda. Bob Ginezda was the General Counsel of NDC, and we have Pastor Jack that will have a good infection talk, and we have a good friend of mine, Eric Early, thank you, and Pramod, the great National Diversity Coalition board member, and we have Bo Girardelli, and we're also gonna have our keynote speaker, Eric, and Senator Holly is also going to come in. So let me introduce Bob Ginezda. If you don't know Bob Ginezda has been a public policy leader since 1960. If you have not seen his work, you can go to Netflix and watch the Inside Job. The best actor, Inside Job was one documentary film in 2011, and this is about the foreclosure crisis. Bob Ginesta created 70% of $3 trillion of Community Reinvestment Act. Bob Ginesta started California Rural Legal Assistance, Green Lining, Mabuhay Alliance, National Asian American Coalition with me, and the National Diversity Coalition, among others. Bob Ginesta is responsible for the African American women to have the right to vote. He was brave to go to Mississippi in the 60s to fight for the women to have the right to vote. He's also responsible for the women in San Francisco to become police officers. He's also responsible for food stamps. I mean, these are just some of the things that our dear friend Bob Ginesta has done. And Bob retired 3 years ago. You know, I have to thank you so much, Bob, for putting your tie and looking good for today, because I know who you are and what you're feeling, but for the love of the people, for your love of our community, you push yourself to get out of the bed. And Miss Claudia, thank you for such a loving wife. Claudia Vic is the she was the CEO of Cameo, and now she started her organization again for women in business, and really creating a lot of opportunity for women business owners. So if you can unmute now, Claudia, let me talk to Bob.
Can you hear us now?
Now we can hear you. So Bob, how are you doing?
How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing very well, and I'm very, very happy to be before this very limited audience to discuss what the NDC and what our affiliate members have achieved over the last decade or so. And I think it's achievements that are far more than anyone gives us credit for. And they include many matters that go well beyond the limited matters we take credit for. So I'm very proud of our members. And I believe our members will be in the Hall of Fames across the nation for the next 20 to 50 years, if not longer.
Great.
Bob, CRA reform is final under Comptroller Otting, Joseph Otting, and he made it final yesterday, and he's the only one putting the final rule, but we know that FDIC will follow, and so as Federal Reserve, and that's what we pray for. What if you can just make a comment for the fight of NDC to make this happen? As you know, when I tell you stories that we do town halls, we try to educate the consumers of the importance of reforming or modernizing a very outdated CRA. So what do you think with this new CRA reform under OCC will benefiting the people, and we know that there's going to be transparency now. You can count exactly the units and the dollars that they're investing. The CRA will not be confused anymore of which one is credited and which one isn't. And the most important thing for the business owners, for the low moderate income, is that additional $100 billion or more every year in investing and lending in the low minority communities. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think none of us would have imagined when we embarked upon what we view as pioneering efforts that we would have been anywhere near as successful as we have been. Due to our members sticking together and having united voices, we have been very successful, far more than the regulators ever believed. And I believe Joseph Odding would say that. I believe that the controller of the currency would say that.
Jerome Powell.
Yeah, so Controller Odding is going to leave us soon. He just he feels like, you know, he's done his job, and this is remarkable and very courageous of what he's done. But for your advice, we want to hear an advice from you for nonprofit leaders like Pastor Jack and myself and Pramod. What's your advice, Bob, to us?
Just keep on keeping on. Just keep on.
I'm overwhelmed, but you've asked for my advice. I don't believe that I can offer advice anymore. I think I can offer only suggestions that should be taken with limited seriousness and limited ability, because we are so strong that I don't believe we measure properly just how effective we are.
It's good. It's true.
It's true. Sometimes, you know, I underestimate the work that I do, and sometimes I feel like, am I doing enough, or I get tired, and nobody really knows how much leaders, nonprofit leaders, work so hard and unappreciated, still get criticized, you know. So, but that's a good advice. How about for bankers?
Just tell them to watch out. Bankers should just watch out, right, Bob?
Yes.
So, Bob, in your, that was 1960 that you started, and now it's say you ended your career, say, in 2018. What's the most?
In 68. Yeah.
68. What's the most memorable or unforgettable experience you had, if you can remember?
So many of them, huh?
There are so many. I don't wish to select out any that I will preclude due to memory.
Voting Rights Act was pretty good, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So
what year was the Voting Rights Act? 64?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bob went to Clay County, Mississippi, and met with the sheriff and the judge there, and took testimony from the African-American residents about how they were being blocked to vote. He was, 28 years old?
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I'm just sharing with you, I love this story. He said that the way he was able to gain their respect and trust was he talked about baseball all the time. And it worked. Yeah.
yeah. But what was your favorite sports?
Baseball.
Baseball. You always love sports, no? But did you ever play baseball though?
Yes.
Played stickball. Come on. Played stickball in Brooklyn. Right?
Yep.
And Bob, I know you love poker too. How did you play poker? How did you make poker benefit you?
I played to win.
You played, and did you always win?
Almost always.
Can you give me advice, because I'm dying to win in poker?
She does great. She won. Faith, you won from us. What are you saying?
I know, because Bob cannot think anymore. That's why I won.
All our chips.
I know, Bob. For the benefit of the audience, how old were you when you started reading Wall Street Journal? Or what grade were you in?
How old was I when I started to read the Wall Street Journal?
Yes.
24.
But the New York Times, how old were you? The New York Times.
The New York Times, 18.
No, you were 4 or 6 or something. Remember?
I may have been 6, yes.
6 years old.
Yeah, remember, Bob, when you were in 2nd grade, that you defied what the teacher told you, and the teacher asked you, what made you think, what's that answer? And you said that because you read it in New York Times.
Yeah.
So, and then for American Banker, I think you're probably the oldest subscribers of American Banker too, right?
I may very well be.
So I think, Bob, there's some.
And then if you could just actually check this would be helpful, because this takes a while.
So Bob, there's some people here who wants to say hello to you. I know. What are the? I think we got Rosanna Han who wants to say hello to you.
No, I'm gonna cook it and put it in the universal sauce. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So I'm just trying to do that. So, and Bob, we miss you a lot. We miss you. I wish you're still here to guide us and to, you to just be at the meeting, because when you're in the meeting, there's something about Bob Ginesta, because you know so much. I mean, you're the most intelligent person I know, and the smartness that you have, you did not use it for your own gain. You use your IQ is so high. You're the smartest person, but you did not use it for your benefit. You really, you're like our godfather. You are our father from all the African American, which you value them so much, and you've been working for them. And we hope that NDC will continue your work, Bob. And I just want to get past Pastor Jack, because before you leave, I just like Pastor Jack to offer a prayer for you, Bob, before you leave. Oh, there's Miss Rosanna, Bob.
Oh, good.
Do you see Rosanna?
We don't have the pictures on the side. Let's see.
Yeah, Eric
you have to
Superman is
go
on as
to-
well. Hello, Eric.
Hey.
We're not getting it.
You have to go.
Gallery view.
You have to go to gallery view, so you can see.
Yeah, I can't find gallery view.
Yeah. So, okay, Pastor Jack, because before Bob runs out of energy again.
I don't know where the gallery view is.
Is she using an iPhone?
Maybe
Is he able to? Is fan
Eric
on?
Early.
Yeah, Eric's here.
Yeah. Rosanna. Hi, Rosanna. And Bo.
Hi.
Anna,
Yeah,
there?
I see
Why
it.
don't you wave so I can see you?
Faith, I'm gonna offer a
Hi, Paul.
to Bob.
Great to see you.
Pastor Jack, go ahead and offer your prayer, please.
Absolutely. Bob, thank you for
You
joining
look so pretty.
you. I don't know if there are folks out there who I invited to the mixer. I'm wearing a tie, so you probably don't recognize me. I do that in honor of Bob Gnezda.
Same colors.
Change the temperature.
Pastor Jack, I need your voice.
Can you
You
hear me?
need to because we can barely hear you.
I am not muted. Can you hear me?
Not really.
I'm sorry. Can you? How about now?
Pastor Jack, we cannot hear you. Pastor Jack, I think you might be blocking the speaker.
I'm here. I'm moving it around.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am so
Yes.
sorry. Bob, God bless you. I don't know if you heard my comment about my tie. I'm wearing it because of you. You change the temperature in the room when you walk in. And you are irreplaceable in our movement. But thank you for your inspiration. And let me just pray a brief prayer over you and Claudia and your home. Good Lord, I thank you tonight for Bob Gnezda. I thank you for his legacy. I pray for his health, for his family, for his marriage. I pray for him, how his legacy and what he left us, what I'll speak about a little later, a good infection of reaching out to the poor, to the marginalized, to those that don't have a voice. Bob has always had a heart for those that can't speak. We thank you for him. Bless his life. We ask this in your name. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me we're gonna change some schedule right now, but I'm gonna introduce Eric early. For 25 years, Eric has fought in the courts to help people stay in their homes and help job creators, businesses, and innovators succeed and stay in California while building his own successful law firm. Eric was a candidate in 2018 for California Attorney General, receiving almost 1 million votes for first-time candidate. Good job, Eric. Eric is a prominent attorney running for Congress and is a great friend of the Asian community. Hi, Eric.
Hello, Faith. Hello.
Hello.
Would you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, Bob, it's a pleasure meeting you by Zoom, and it sounds like your life is an incredible life. So I wish this could be in person, but I guess Zoom is the next best thing these days. Faith, Faith, thank you so much for inviting me to participate and to help honor Asian American Heritage Month, which I'm very proud to do. My fiance, who's Filipina, as you know, she's in the other room right now, and I'm glad to support the National Diversity Coalition. So again, Faith, thank you so much for having me. Just a little bit more about me. So yes, I've been an attorney for 27 years, and I do the things that Faith was describing. 10 years ago, I started my own firm. We're up to 30 lawyers. We practice around the country, and when I ran for Attorney General, that was my first race ever. It was pretty cool. I spoke up and down the state. I met all kinds of great Californians up and down our state, and it was pretty amazing to get that many votes in my first ever race. Emerald and I, every once in a while, will sit back and say, well, we knew about 452 people have voted for me. So I'm still not sure where the other almost 1 million votes came from, but it was pretty cool. And So I'm now running for, I sort of got the bug, and even though I have a great life, great law firm, great family, you know, I'm an empty nester. I'm also a grandfather, and Emerald also has 2 kids. She's an empty nester. But I sort of got that political bug. I live in the 28th Congressional District, and I jumped in the race for Congress in this district against Adam Schiff. I've been endorsed by the California Republican Party, and LA County Republican Party, and Mike Antonovich, and just on and on and on. Great people, great organizations. And in the primary on March 3rd, there were 8 people total running, and there's only 2 people left, and that's me and Mr. Schiff. And so I'm in that race, and we've got a great team behind us. You know, in this day and age of COVID, I hope everybody's staying safe. These are difficult times for the country. These are difficult times for all of us here in the district. I hope next year I get to speak at this same group with all these great people, and hopefully we'll all be there in person, drinking our wine and mixing. Thankfully, the CARES Act passed by bipartisan vote in Congress, and the Payment Protection Program passed, and I know that has really helped tremendously. All kinds of businesses out there. You know, in addition to being an attorney, I run a business. I sign the front of a lot of people's paychecks every 2 weeks, and you know, business owners are getting crushed right now. And somebody once said that small businesses are like temples. They not only they provide a place and a safe haven for all of the people that work there, and small businesses, and of course everybody's hard work who works for the businesses. It creates money to support families and relatives and friends, and donations to all kinds of other organizations, and people's lives, you know, depend so much on where they work and how they work and their jobs. And right now we're in an incredibly difficult time. I don't think enough is being focused, quite frankly, on the death of so many small businesses, so many job creators. So many people have risked everything they had to build a business that are now in bankruptcy or teetering on the verge of it. And all the people that have lost their jobs, and all the stress that people are going through right now, and all the various difficulties of having to get through this terrible time. So I hope it opens up, things open up faster and sooner than they seem to be opening. I want jobs to come back. I want people to have their jobs. I want people to have their dignity again. I want people to be able to work again and support their families and their loved ones, because as you know, so many people who've been hit by this really didn't have much of a safety net when this whole terrible COVID situation hit. So thankfully we've got the CARES Act that's getting a lot of people through a lot of it. And so that's really all I have to say, Faith. Thanks again, Bob. Nice meeting you. And Faith, you know, it's an honor to know you. So thank you.
Salamat, Eric. Thank you. So we're just gonna change the some of the my program here, because Senator Hawley is gonna come at 6:30. Pastor Jack, can you please introduce our member of the year for NDC?
Absolutely. Anxious to let you meet Bo Garadelli. He's a young man, a CEO of Sky's the Limit, understanding it's a tech nonprofit, which you saw just earlier that I was having technical difficulties. This is a generation that is going to do some amazing things, and we need leadership in that area. And so, Bo, God bless you. Good job. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you have, what you are accomplishing, what are you endeavoring to do, and welcome to our first ever, NDC's first ever mixer, and we'll give you a little cheer. And
cheers.
Coke is not even sponsoring this mixer yet, but be sure to hit them up. So Good. It's all yours, brother.
Thank you. Thanks, Pastor Jack. And thanks so much, Faith, for having me. And thank you to Claudia Veek, who brought me really into the greater microenterprise community. This has been a passion of mine since I was 24. and been working to help particularly young adult entrepreneurs launch their first businesses. And I grew up in a family full of small business owners, learned a lot about business at the dinner table. And it wasn't until later that I realized how much of an advantage that was, and how many people, particularly my peers throughout the country who were looking to start businesses, didn't have a network of their own to get support. And so starting in 2012, we've been working with thousands of young adult entrepreneurs who are starting all kinds of businesses: fashion, food, beauty. 70% of the entrepreneurs we serve are women. 85% of the entrepreneurs we serve are people of color. The majority of our entrepreneurs, when they join our program, are low income. And the main thing that we do for them is connect them with business advisors and mentors who come from our corporate partners like Accenture and Goldman Sachs. And so what we're trying to do is unlock the social capital that exists throughout the country, the time and talents of professionals and experienced business owners, and get them to give back some of that time to young entrepreneurs to help them avoid some of the pitfalls and really figure out how to build and chase their own business dreams. And so we started out as a brick and mortar in Oakland, California, where I'm born and raised, and that's where I met Claudia, who's been a bit of like a mentor to me for many years now, and understand just how much work has gone into supporting micro entrepreneurs throughout the years, and it's work that Bob has pioneered, and so I feel very fortunate to that ecosystem of support and that community around micro entrepreneurship even exists, because from what I've learned, you all built that from scratch. So it's incredible work, and it's so important because we all know small business owners are just the backbone of our entire communities and the backbone of the country. And they're the ones who clothe us and feed us and build our homes and take care of us. And finally, it seems like it took a global pandemic to really put small businesses on the front page. And I hope people will never take them for granted again. I'll tell you just a few stories of some of the incredible young people that we get to serve. Brianna Williams is the founder of Katrina's Popcorn. And Brianna is a survivor of human trafficking. And the mission of her business is to employ other survivors because she wants to create a safe haven for people who've experienced the same trauma that she has. And she launched a gourmet popcorn company a few years back, and she's received mentoring and advising from several of the folks in our community. And they've really helped her take a business model that existed on paper and make it real. And an example of the kinds of social capital that we're trying to develop is not only that transfer of skills and knowledge that happens, but also they were able to introduce her to a major healthcare chain, and that introduction resulted in a very large order to stock her popcorn in hospitals. And so these are the kind of transformational thing that can happen when you take connections and you really build real relationships between people who are strangers beforehand, but have a desire to work together. And then this magic happens, right? Building this organization could never have done it without the support of so many people. But how do we unlock that kind of supporting network for people who didn't grow up with it? One of the major problems that young adults face growing up is just a lack of role models and a lack of people in their community who can help them build businesses. So I'll end there, but thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the work that you lead, Faith, and that you really started, Bob. So thank you.
And There you go. Oh my gosh. Bo, I just want to thank you so much for rejoining NDC. I mean, I can't, you know, you're 24.
This is Zoom. It's not as good as the other one. Because normally you can.
Muted.
Miss Senator Holly Mitchell. So Bob, you have to be very proud of Senator Holly Mitchell. Let me just read a little bit. She'll speak on the importance of local leaders, which is still all of us. Senator Mitchell chairs the Senate Budget and Fiscal Review Committee, where she has overseen the passage and adoption of the last 2 state budgets, each nearly $200 billion. She's a candidate for the LA Board of Supervisors, has represented Los Angeles in the state legislature for the past 9 years, and has over 30 years of experience. And I can't believe she still looks good, working with community leaders in California. So I don't know what your secret, Senator Holly, even with this COVID, no manicure, no hair, you still look
right.
good. So.
Don't look too close. You'll see the gray hair. So good evening, everyone. And let me thank you so much for the invitation. Let me take these things out of my ears. It's been a bit of a whirlwind these last couple of days. As you were in my introduction, Faith, talking about the state budgets these last couple of years, I'm saddened to say we won't have a budget that looks like that for the next year or two. Before I go any further, Bob won't remember, but I was a very young policy analyst with the Western Center on Law and Poverty, and our offices were joined together with CRLA on L Street many, many years ago. So I know your work, I know the significance of your work. CRLA and policy advocates have just done phenomenal work, and I have partnered with both organizations my entire professional career. So I just want to acknowledge you and say thank you, sir, for all the work you've done for so many years. It's been so important to me and my policy work and the constituents I serve. So thank you. So thank you, Faith. It's my pleasure to be able to participate in NDC. And you talk about the importance of local leaders. You know, you mentioned I'm a candidate for the Board of Supervisors, and people said to me leading up to the primary, you know, Holly, do people really know the work and the value of the Board of Supervisors? And, you know, sometimes I'd answer yes, sometimes no. But it's after an experience like this, a public health and an economic pandemic, that everyone understands the role of government. And everyone understands, I think, the role of local government, as we are looking to our local government leaders to help us navigate our way through this public health and economic pandemic. And I think it's very important to frame it in both ways, because when I look at a budget, a 2-year budget deficit of $54 billion, when I acknowledge the pain small businesses are experiencing across LA County and in my Senate district, when we look at the unemployment rate, the fact that over 4 million Californians filed for unemployment insurance in less than 30 days, to see our unemployment numbers just go through the roof in 60 days. This is an economic pandemic as well. And so it's going to take all of us. I loved hearing the story your previous speaker was telling about the young business owner who got started and had a bright idea and found people to support her. We, the collective we, NDC, government, are going to have to figure out how we come together to help support California's economy. As the governor and as local leaders make their decisions to reopen, and that's happening all over the state, we're going to have to make sure that there are all kinds of supports in place to help the economy recover, help people go back to work, help small businesses thrive and prosper. You know, one of my deep concerns is that some jobs that went away may never come back. And how do we create opportunity for businesses to grow and develop, and for people to find respectable work that pays them a living wage, so they can afford to continue to make the California dream their dream. So those are the things I'm working on currently as chair of the budget committee. Pleased to be able to join you all and to have had numerous conversations and talk to Faith about, to hear about the goals of NDC and to share my goals as a policymaker as well. So with that, Faith, I'll turn it back over to you. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to join you this evening.
Thank you, Senator. And after this, we'll have Q&A. If you can stay, great. Otherwise, I'll pass on the question to you. And thank you, by the way, for celebrating Asian heritage with me. Asian is very important community groups here. We do a lot of work, and someone like you appreciating, and so as Eric Early celebrating the Asian heritage, I really appreciate you for that. So I'm gonna pass it on now, and please continue good work and stay healthy.
Thank you very much. Same to you and everyone else. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm gonna hang as long as I can, then I've got a budget conversation I have to transition to. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Pramod, I'm gonna pass it on to you. Pramod Conju, Board of Director of National Diversity Coalition.
Thank you, Faith. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Faith?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So today I have the honor of introducing Eric Huberman, who is our keynote speaker. Eric Huberman is the founder and CEO of Hawk Media, the fastest growing marketing consultancy in the United States. The company has serviced over 2,000 brands of all sizes, ranging from startups to household names such as Red Bull, Verizon Wireless, and Alibaba. Hawk Media has taken home numerous industry awards, including Fortune Magazine's 50 Best Workplaces in Southern California. As a serial entrepreneur and marketing expert, Eric Huberman is a sought-after thought leader in the world of digital marketing. Huberman is a recipient of numerous honors and awards, including Forbes 30 Under 30 and CSQ 40 Under 40. A regular contributor to major publications like Forbes, Entrepreneur, and CSQ, Huberman is also a well-known keynote speaker. We are so glad Eric Huberman is with us here today. Please join me in welcoming Eric.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys. Yeah, and if anybody has any questions throughout this, feel free to put it in chat. I want this to be about everyone here. And I was asked to speak about, business owners recovering from, what's going on economically with COVID. So I want to be very clear on that. But kind of the opportunity that's risen out of this. And by the way, it's flattering to follow Senator Mitchell and have me be the keynote. So thank you for having me. We've been spending the past 2.5 months really, we manage marketing and revenue driving for about 500 different brands actively right now. And so we have been forced to maintain our business to really navigate and figure out how these companies can pivot, change, adapt, given what's going on. And so tonight, I've got sort of 15 minutes here. I want to highlight what some companies are doing and what I've seen companies do to actually adapt to this situation. So first off, some overall stats that are really important to look at. Keep in mind when I talk, I'm talking to general statistics. There's probably people on this webinar as well as in general that are very much personally impacted by this. So when I glaze over it and talk about opportunity, I just want to make it clear that I get that people are having a hard time, but there is opportunity in this. And there's a lot of opportunity in things you wouldn't expect. So for business owners right now, digital has actually skyrocketed. And so what we've seen is just e-commerce as an example, e-commerce in general, across the board, all categories on average are up about 130% month over month from March to April. So in e-commerce last year, the market share of e-commerce purchases versus brick and mortar purchases was about 13% to 87%. 87% of consumer purchasing was still done in store, 13% online. In the past 6 weeks, that 13% went to 30. So if you're a business that was set up online, I'm sorry to say we're still in a competitive landscape. Those purchases went to those companies set up for it and ready to receive that. Not just Amazon. We're seeing it across. We manage marketing for like small businesses that are doing 10, 50, $100,000, a month in revenue that all doubled on average. It was a very big impact to online businesses. And what we also saw were the businesses, even to this day, that have been adopting online, it hasn't slowed down. So a good example of this is there's a chain of gyms, 25 gyms across Canada called Innovative Fitness, and it's owned by a friend of mine. And the reason that this is it's a personal story because he's a friend. He called me right when he got shut down, was like, what are we supposed to do about this? How can I adapt? Like, I didn't save enough money to pay for all my rent for 25 places when I have no members coming in. And within 3 days, he decided to pivot to virtual training. And he has actually grown his revenue because all of his gym members kept their membership because they still have the money coming in. They still want to work out. And now he's doing online trainings for them for the same price. For them, they didn't plan on canceling their workouts and that expense. If some of his members have been impacted, it could have been a little different, but most of his members kept their jobs. They're working from home, or they're on unemployment, which is frankly paying over twice as much as it normally does. So they still have discretionary income. And so he was able to retain all his existing customers, but now he said it himself, housewives that normally couldn't find the time to go to his gym now could hire him to train them at home. And just all these people adopted it. So he was actually able to take, in an industry that is hyper impacted, which are gyms, he was able to actually turn it into a positive. And so there is a silver lining on the professional level. We're seeing with a lot of restaurants pivoting to delivery and to takeout. A lot of them, they're not booming, and don't get me wrong. Right now, there's a lot of companies that are thriving, but even if you can maintain and fight for that some level of revenue versus none, you have a chance of coming through this, because there's a chance that this doesn't last very long. And if you can really hang on tight. And so with restaurants, I'm finding, and I own a restaurant, by the way, I'm an investor in one. My best friend's a chef at a Michelin restaurant in New York, and they're both surviving at about 60% of revenue, but they also were able to drop their expenses by 30, 40%. So they're just about break even, if not making a little bit of money. Don't get me wrong. They've had to furlough waiters, they've had to lay people off, but then they have a job to come back to when this subsides. And so there is a little bit of survival aspect here, getting through this period while everything can start to open up. But there's opportunity. And what we're encouraging as a business, we've done a lot to try to encourage just entrepreneurs in general to really take the bull by the horns. And, this is the time where you earn your stripes as any entrepreneur. Our business is down too. We have plenty of clients that couldn't afford to do marketing, can't afford to pay the bills they owe us, are shut down right now and holding on to everything. Every business is affected by this. There's very few that are skyrocketing other than major tech companies. But there is an opportunity. It's not a binary situation. It's not all or nothing. And what we're seeing is almost every type of business, other than maybe airlines, have an opportunity to do something in this situation to at least either generate some awareness, some revenue to try to get through this, so that, again, it can stretch your lifeline a little longer, along with, it was mentioned, the PPP, which can help you with payroll for a few months, unemployment for the people you're having to furlough. Again, it's paying $1,150 a week right now, which is a significant amount of money for someone that might be your, generally a waiter or something like that. So there's a lot of cushion right now that's coming in through through June until July. And at that point, hopefully we start to see some recovery, which in California specifically, they're aiming for, as they said, July 4th to be around the time that they start to really open up. So if that's true, act accordingly. Find ways to make it to there, and find ways to have a little runway after that, just in case something else comes up. But and that's the biggest part of my keynote, what I was asked to speak to, is there's a lot of opportunity to this. And as mentioned, I'm happy to answer questions on what we're seeing. We've seen so many different pivots. I've taken the approach the past couple of months of helping companies that aren't traditionally digital figure out digital, not from getting them to be clients of ours kind of standpoint, more of a personal level, talking to entrepreneurs, trying to help them think through. Again, my best friend owns a restaurant in New York, and helped him figure out how to start creating, it's a top Mexican restaurant with it's a mezcal bar. And they started throwing mezcal tasting nights and delivered these whole kits. And we're really got creative with it very early. And again, they've paid rent. They're not underwater. They're doing okay as a Michelin restaurant in a nice part of New York. So if they can survive, there's a lot of opportunity in those kind of places. So how can digital marketing be more of service to the low and to middle income segment, minority communities during these times? I mean, so it was said earlier, I can't remember who said it, I think it was Bo, that, one of the things about, underserved communities is their lack of mentorship, their lack of access. The great thing about digital is there's no lack of access. I frankly have no idea where any of you are sitting right now, and you don't know where I am. I mean, maybe some of you know where I live, but there, a lot of the barriers are broken right now, and like people that I didn't, especially right now, nobody's meeting in person. So people that you don't normally have access to are willing to talk. I've seen the same thing. We threw a conference 3 weeks into this, so April 7th, and we throw in a big event once a year. And when I say big event, our big event's 600 people. It's 600 brand owners. We do it at we try to pick another great venue in LA. We did it at the Houdini Estate, et cetera. And so we threw this online event because we realized we weren't going to be able to do anything in person, and people needed something to, just like tonight, something to get more information, to understand. And that was our pivot. It was like, let's do an online event. Let's bring everyone together. And Damon John, who I have no prior relationship with, was willing to come and speak with me for 45 minutes to share with the crowd, like what he saw with his startups and his view of the situation. And we have it recorded. It's on YouTube. He ended up being very right with his assessment of what was coming. And this is someone that would have never come and spoken at one of our physical events. But because of what's going on right now, people are really open. And so taking advantage of that is super important. So again, for the low to middle income segment, reach out. Like most people, I hate to say it, but if you don't have access to a computer, there's ways to figure that out. If you have access to a computer or a smartphone, the world's limitless. I don't care where you live. You're going to have access to someone. You're going to be able. It's a numbers game, and getting that training or that mentorship to even keep swinging the bat and trying is the part that they need. But I think the opportunity's there if they're made aware of it. I'm one of them. I'm happy to talk to anyone and help anyone. I'm a little too liberal with my time. So again, biggest lesson by far for small businesses with COVID is this is, again, back to like being an entrepreneur. You're always going to be up against adversity. That's your job. Your job is to deal with the biggest problems of your business. Hopefully, if they're small problems, you're hiring people to handle them. If not, you'll never scale a business. You'll be in the weeds the whole time. So your job is to actually replace yourself so that the small stuff gets handled and all the big things are going to fall on your plate. So whether it's COVID, and again, I want to separate my talk from the actual disease. It's a terrible thing, but the business effect of COVID is the same effect some business experience with the trade tariffs. Some businesses experience with different natural disasters that happen around the country. There's, just random news cycles about E. coli on spinach. Like there's businesses that suffered heavily because of the news cycle, just as much as your business is suffering from COVID. And I'm being sincere. There are businesses that have the exact same impact. So understand, as a business owner, your job is to take the threats and turn it into opportunities and figure out a way to reposition. And again, it's not always possible. If I owned a cruise line company right now, I'd be a little concerned. I actually take that back until 2 weeks ago when Carnival announced opening in August and they sold out. So apparently things are going to be okay, and it's about just getting through this. And that's more and more what we're seeing is it's really about just getting through this period. And that's important. In terms of where do I draw my energy and positivity? I'd say pragmatism. It's like at the beginning of this, I was just as nervous as everyone else. Like my business, and I didn't really go into it, but we're month to month. We're all a la carte. We work with tiny startups. We work with Fortune 500s, but we make ourselves super flexible because in a normal economy, we just want to be nimble for our clients and be client first. I come from building and selling to e-commerce companies and hated how agencies worked. And so I wanted to build something that was more client-centric, that gave people more access to great marketers. What that means, though, is in a catastrophe, we could get a call on Monday and all of our clients left. We have no warning. That's how our business works. And so we used to joke about, other than like a pandemic or a world war, we're probably going to be okay as a business. And then this hit. So I was a nervous wreck March 13th weekend. I'll never forget that weekend because March 13th, I sent the whole team home in the middle of the day. And then they declared a national emergency right after that. And then Sundays when they shut down LA the 15th. And so I couldn't sleep. I had no idea what I was coming into. But then when I came in, I spent all weekend planning for the worst case scenario and everywhere in between there. We lose all our revenue, what it looks like. We lose half our revenue. We lose a quarter of our revenue. What do these different situations look like? Okay, now I know what to do. Now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you start to monitor, okay, so which scenario am I gonna have to play with? And what it does is it takes the emotion out of it. And that's the part, the best advice I've ever had as an entrepreneur is, frankly, my dad's an entrepreneur, and I'm fortunate enough to have that. And I called him like a month into business. I'm going to make a really long story short because I don't want to rant too long and answer a couple questions. But month into business, one of my employees just completely flaked and almost lost me half my business overnight. The lot longer story, he actually flaked because he met a girl over the weekend and went to marry her in Hawaii. So it's a pretty ridiculous story. But went through this whole thing, called my dad, told him this, 5-minute long story about everything that's going on and this guy flaking in the business and like, we're going to lose half our clients. I don't know what to do. My dad's response was like, oh yeah, that shit happens all the time. Anyways, I got to run. Talk to you later. Quick. And it's that perspective that I constantly keep with me with every challenge that I hit. He didn't even know he was giving me good advice. And I've brought it up to him since, but it really comes down to like, this shit's going to happen all the time, whether it's a pandemic or whatever, your supply chain shuts down or whatever, you're going to deal with it. And so get over it, accept it, and focus on the things what you can do about it. And so I don't think that energy comes from anywhere. It's just, you got to come to terms with that. What does it cost to reposition to digital? It depends what you're doing. If it depends on your business, depends what you're doing. I mean, you want to get really scrappy with it, you can do it, in a weekend by watching some YouTube videos and doing it yourself and do it for free. You want to go full robust, it can be, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. It just depends on, what you want to do. But repositioning to digital, it is really easy to put up a website. It's really easy to build an email list and start, especially if you're at a business. And, oh, that's not for me. So next question is for Eric Early. Yeah, other than that, happy to answer questions, happy to go into more. I know I was supposed to have 15 minutes, so I think I'm about there.
All right, thank you very much, Eric. Let's give Eric a virtual round of applause here. He always says yes to your invitation, so thank you, Eric. Have a great day or good evening. Thank you.
I just have a question, Eric and both Eric Early and Eric. Should we open up? I mean, I'm feel annoyed, but yet I'm scared. What are your thoughts of opening up California now?
I'll give you my thoughts. This is Eric Early. I absolutely believe we should open up, but with safety measures in place. We've seen what this does, but we should not, those in the particularly vulnerable groups, over a certain age, severe underlying conditions, and such, if they don't want to go back to work, they should not be penalized for not going back to work. And I suggest that they would not go back to work. But for example, my own law firm, we have 30 lawyers. We're very capable of social distancing. We're very capable of staying safe among ourselves. We can do it. We've got a lot of people who have got a lot of common sense. And there's no reason, for example, that my office should be forced to be closed. And, if I can go to a grocery store, I should be able to go to Macy's, for example. So I do believe we should be opening on a rolling basis. I believe it's really overdue to start happening. We've seen the numbers. This is as bad as it is. It's not nearly as bad as what was originally told to us. It would be, thank God. And I think as a leader, and I'm talking, in terms of the political leaders, you have to weigh, of course, the medical data. And I'm not just talking about one person's medical data. There are a lot of brilliant medical people out there who have all kinds of conflicting data on the same thing. You have to weigh that data. And you have to weigh the trauma and the devastation of a closed economy, and the devastation on people's personal lives, and the devastation on people's businesses, and the devastation on life as we know it. And, the leader has to weigh those and make some tough decisions. And one of the tough decisions is, given everything, is we can start opening. I firmly believe that might be controversial in certain circles. It's very well accepted in other circles. We've been seeing what's been happening in certain other parts of the state and the country. So that's what I firmly believe, and I believe it should be happening very soon.
Yeah,
I believe it should have happened.
I pretty much agree with everything that was just said by Eric. I think, I think it should be encouraged that if you don't need to open to function, not to. Like, my business is a good example. We haven't missed a beat being remote. I miss being in the office with my people, but functionally we don't have to. So like, let's still take precautions, like whatever they want to call it. Phase 3 is what I don't know what phase 3 actually means, but if that means if your business needs to operate by being open, then do it. And if you don't have to, we encourage you to stay remote. And then Eric nailed it, protecting the people that are actually at risk and defining that. Because I think I've even heard it from my own employees, because we have a few that have health conditions that are concerned about what decisions I would make to force them back in when it opens. I think those people do need to be heavily protected, and I think that takes government. Even though I'm somewhere in the middle when it comes to politics, I think for those social, that kind of a situation, there's going to be a lot of business owners that aren't going to want to deal with someone that like just can't come to work because they're worried about dying. And I think we need to make sure we protect those people. Other than that, I agree. If you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the gun store has been open, weed pharmacies have been, dispensaries have been open. Like, I think at this point, people are informed enough. There's enough information out there. Make your own decision. I think masks need to be heavily enforced. It's ridiculous. The new joke, I still am waiting for someone to come up with a name for the mask around the chin thing. Because I just drove down to FedEx and back. And like the amount of people walking around with masks around their chin, it's like, do you not get the point of this? So we need to which will have more income if we have these open, but spend some marketing dollars with the city or the county around this is what you need to do to stay safe. 6 foot, social distancing should keep going, masks should keep going, but full shutdown, I think it was the right move when they did it because we didn't know what this was going to be. But now we've mitigated it. As Eric said, the numbers are less. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that we've all been on lockdown. But at the same time, we did it. We can start to open and we can watch it. But I think we've seen it all over the country, all over the world. If you're wearing if you're wearing masks, if you're being cautious, it's not going to have a giant surge. It hasn't anywhere. So I think that's, the answer. You're muted, Faith.
Okay, sorry about that. See, Eric, we need to speak to you because I'm almost 60 years old and I just can't be so high tech. But I agree with you. Thank you so much for that inspiration and advice. Pastor Jack, I'm going to pass it on to you for the good infection.
Beautiful. Now remember, this is a mixer. And so some of you are supposed to bring, this is like a happy hour type, and this is the strongest drink that I imbibe at this point. And so whatever your taste is, adult beverage. Let me ask a question, and thank you. I was the one that asked Eric Huberman the question, where do you get your energy? Where do you get that inspiration and positivity? And so let me ask everybody here, and participants, you can't necessarily answer directly, but let me ask this question. I wrote it down. Do you ever wonder where your sense of good comes from? Where does your sense of good come from? And that theologians talk about as a Christian faith leader, the argument of the existence of God always draws back down to good and evil. It's really what the moral argument is. And so when I ask you the question, do you ever think about, hey, where do I get this sense of doing good? Eric Early, attorney, probably making a decent living. Why would he want to go into the public sphere where, boy, you're going to get at least 50% of people, if you're good, 50% of the people who disagree with you. Where do you get that good to want to do it to others, for others? And really, that's what the National Diversity Coalition, that's our common ground, is good. And I'd like to suggest that during this post-pandemic strategy opportunity, is anybody strategizing for the post-pandemic? Business people are brilliant about doing it. We heard a couple of entrepreneurs, young guys. You know what? Our business community, small business, is in good hands because the young people get it, and they're not waiting around. They're going to go and they're going to find opportunity. And so that's a beautiful thing. But I would want us, those of us in the nonprofit realm who work with folks that maybe don't understand their own capacity, their own capabilities, and they're vulnerable, they're voiceless, they're paycheck to paycheck. These are the folks that we actually reach out to, and it's good. We do something good. And the moral argument is that a natural thing? Well, you know, the opposite of good is bad. If I can share bad and good real quick, the movies you like, the superheroes we follow, the books we read, they pretty much all have in their storyline good and evil. And you look at basically the heroine versus the villain, right? That's what it boils down to. Whether it's make-believe, where it's a comic character, good versus evil. And this is what I've come to the conclusion, that good, the only difference between the heroine and the villain is this. The villain says, something bad has happened to me. I want everybody to feel the way I felt. And the hero says, I want something bad has happened to me. I don't want anybody to feel that way. And those are the two juxtapositions we find ourselves in. And when I say a good infection, this is what my preposition is to all of us. We are in the business of a good infection. If I can say the audacity of good, is sharing, President Obama came up with a book in 2004, 2006 when he was a senator, The Audacity of Hope. And so the audacity of good with merchants of hope. That's who we are. We're merchants of hope. There is hope. And good is the container that we bring this hope into. And so it's just a little rah, a little cheer for you. I don't know what your faith tradition is. As a Christian, I use the Bible in the very beginning, the Judeo-Christian perspective. In the beginning, Genesis, our Maker said, when he created things, it is good. And so our nature is good. And those of us who are feeling it, you got that sense you want to do something outside of even yourself, not just protecting yourself, not just creating for your own benefit, but for others. That's what the National Diversity Coalition is about. And if you're in sharing the mixer, we'd love you to join us. Faith Bautista is our president. Bob Ganezda is one of our founders. Bob's DNA runs through all of us. And Bob just thought about people who who needed some support, who needed help, who needed a voice. And so that's all I got for you. If I can read a quick proverb, this is for all of us, okay? Do you know what a proverb is? A proverb is an idea. It's like a philosophy. Consider it. And so this morning's proverb, if you're looking for something to read, in the Bible, there's this book called the Proverbs, and there are 31 Proverbs, and it'll be good read for you. They're not very long, but this is the one this morning. Listen to this. Clean living before your Maker and justice with our neighbors mean far more to God than religious performance. And so, okay, now I'm not giving you an excuse to not go to your house of worship. You do want to engage in your faith community if you have one. If you don't have one, I encourage a social connection at some level when things get better. Wear a mask, be protective. But I agree with our speakers that pretty soon we're going to need to open up unless, like Senator Mitchell said, we want an economic tsunami. And so we need to do that. That's where those of us who want to spread a good infection, that's where we start. We continue to do good. We continue to look outside of ourselves and with others. And that's all I have. I prayed for Bob. I bless our gathering, and I'll turn it over to Sister Bautista.
So let's do a virtual where we can see everybody. I want to join. I want to share my cheese, my grapes. Can we see everybody now?
No, I don't.
There you go.
Alex.
Oh, good. So while everybody's getting it, I just want to do commercial. Oh, hi Jordan. Too bad Bob left already. Hello. How cute. Commercial. The National Asian American Coalition. If you were denied on PPP and you need small business loan, go to naac.org. We have quite a few dollars there to give loans. So anybody, please tell everyone. There's Ike. Ike, hello from Santa Clarita. Pablo Wong, hello. Oh, hi Edo. Hi Femi. This is cool. So yeah, so if you need any small business loans, it's prime plus one, very, very cheap type of loan. Go to naac.org. So Pramod, how do you want to facilitate this?
Oh yeah, if anybody would like to speak, I believe you can unmute and say a few words. Or if you want to put something on the chat, if you want to put something on the chat, the one positive thing that has happened to you during this pandemic, how about that? The one positive thing.
Yeah, and let me introduce also, I saw Sanford Williams from FCC. Sanford is on the National Diversity Coalition Advisory Board. I know Dr. Charles Dorsey was there a while. I saw they said hello to Bob. Yeah, anything. I mean, maybe Ethels is president of the UP and very active business owner. I mean, anything happening on this COVID? I mean, you look good.
Do you like my background?
I love it.
That's actually a salad that I made.
Oh.
So it's spinach salad with strawberry. You can tell what's in there, but it's really delicious. Thank you for calling on me, Faith. But I was just listening earlier to the talks, and one positive thing really that happened to me, because I'm really out there physically with people, and now there's even more opportunity to reach out more people because you're not limited by geography now. So I tend to talk, people in UK and, having this, Zoom with, my colleagues in the Philippines. And it's just like one big thing that we couldn't do. And we only would be able to do those if there's a special event, right? Just like over the weekend, my alumni association, which I'm the president, hosted a spring fling, and we normally have it on on a venue, small venue, and it would be just us. But then when we had it on Zoom, we actually had somebody from the University of the Philippines in the Philippines, who's like the associate vice president in charge of alumni, come and join us. And we were in a marathon of a 5-hour socializing thing. So it's really fun, and it's so amazing how the reach is actually more now that we are on lockdown, which is so surreal. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sanford from Washington, D.C., how are you doing there?
I'm doing well. Good to be here.
Talk a little bit about FCC while you got it. What's up?
Well,
What's up with FCC right now?
well, right now it's almost 10, well, it's 10:12 here in the East, so I'm about to go work out as soon as I'm done here. But earlier today, in my FCC job, we're working on lots of things. I think the biggest initiative is the telehealth initiative, where we're working with providers, health providers around the country to give them money so they can do telemedicine with people so they don't have to come into the offices or the hospitals, enable them to get medical care and still be cared for, but not coming into situations where it could be more deleterious to their health. So they can, kind of avoid interaction by doing the telemedicine. And that's our big push right now.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know FCC put out $200 million, right? That's great. Yeah. And how's the school, sitting in a school board?
Yeah, the school board actually is probably our biggest challenge now. Here in Virginia, we've been closed down for a while. The schools are closed till the end of the school year. And right now we're trying to figure out if we're going to open the schools up in the fall. And just with the social distancing things we need to do that, it's going to be a challenge, K through 12, especially for the younger grades, because how do you take a kindergartner and tell them the social distance and wear PPE? So we're wrestling with those issues right now as we, fast approach summer and the fall.
Great. I'm curious, real estate right now. Everyone is asking, are the price is gonna go down? Should I hold off in buying? What's your take in buying and selling homes right now?
It certainly is the best time to buy. It's also certainly best time to sell. So we are still short of inventory. Anything below $700,000, they're gobbled up. We still are experiencing multiple offers. On the other hand, we've had some escrows fall out because some people have lost salary, lost their jobs. It's a challenge. And I'm thinking there might be some people who are going to give up on their mortgage payments shortly after all this has happened. So we're bracing up, Faith, for some funding and some help to these people. And we're on the lookout for more help. And we're looking to you for your leadership for that, because we've got a lot of homeowners needing the money.
That's why I want Eric Early to win, so he can help me when he's in Congress.
I've been wanting to meet Eric, mano a mano, person to person. This is the closest we've been, but Eric, we've heard a lot of good things about you, and I think once you get into the legislature, things are going to start to happen differently. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely the plan, Ike, and great meeting you via Zoom. Things will definitely start happening differently because I care very much about this district and the people in our district, and we have a lot to do. We got a lot of catching up to do, and we got a lot of problems to deal with, and I want to roll up my sleeves and start getting into it right away. I don't want to get too political right now, but let's just say we need a change after 20 years of the same person in office.
Yeah. There's a lot of things actually, this COVID. I mean, I learned so much, and I agree with you, Ike. With this non-QM, there's no such a thing as non-quality mortgage anymore. So if your credit score is not over 700 and you don't have 20% down payment, you cannot buy a home. And at the same time, there's still no supply. So, and small businesses, a lot of the banks, it's hard. I mean, everyone are losing money. But, these too shall pass. We'll go through this. And like what Eric is saying, just be innovative. There's a lot of businesses that will go down, will never come back. But there's a lot also that will come back. For our organization, like the National Asian American Coalition, we're doing great. This 331 million that it took us 7 years to get. We finally getting it, and by August we should be helping a lot more homeowners and hopefully more down payment assistance. So I'll pass it on to anybody else who wants to say. We still got like 20 minutes. This is networking, right? So we're I don't know how Eric is. Usually we look so good at top, but we're wearing shorts at the bottom, or slippers.
Are you talking about me, Faith, or the other Eric? I have jeans on, and for half this conference, my cat was sitting on my lap. But you know, she likes to be a part of everything I do. But she moved on. But listen, I'll say a few things. Our country's going through a really tough time right now. You know, many people say that we're about to enter into the equivalent of a Great Depression. And, you know, it sounds like a lot of people on this conference are relatively very lucky. We have safety nets, we have businesses. We'll get through this, and we're handling this well. But, you know, we can't forget all the people out there who are really suffering. And it's going to take a lot of work. I know, thankfully, in my 27 years of practicing law, I've had experience working with all the stakeholders, from, you know, the lenders and the banks and the, you know, the realtors and the real estate folks and the people, employees, outfits, and business owners, certainly. And, you know, we're going to have to all work together. We're going to get through this again. And we'll definitely get through this as a nation. And I believe our best times are still definitely ahead of us. It's just going to take a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, even with there's no campaigning, I think we need to encourage every one of us here. Let's encourage people to register and vote. Otherwise, forever hold your peace. And I think it's a sin if you're United States citizen and
Right.
you're not voting. So please, and NDC is really good in advocating for what's right. What Bob Ginesta used to do is we give recommendations, especially on the proposition. So, you know, thank you all for here. B, I think you're still there. B just became a women business center and trying to become a CDFI. B, by the way, I gave a good word for you, so hopefully you'll be CDFI soon. You can just
thank you.
Yeah, just talk a little bit about a women business center and how women nowadays are doing.
Well, first of all, it is such an honor to be back and to support everything that NDC is doing. It is really remarkable, the incredible amount of progress we are making because of everyone here in our wonderful cocktail party. The Women's Business Center that New Economics for Women was able to get from the SBA literally came to us in March. We opened in the middle of April, and we already have been servicing over 1,000 businesses in less than 3 weeks. It has been a tsunami of businesses who are in desperate need of information, not only on PPP, but how to keep your businesses. What we're finding is that many of them is not about their payroll as much as it is about getting some kind of credit just to pay for inventory so that they could open up. So many small and I'm talking small businesses below $1 million, some of them below 50,000 a year, are all having the same problem. Credit is tight, credit is no longer available. And then all of this money is supposed to help them sustain employees when they may not be able to open up. Some of the opportunities that we're seeing that some of them are thinking is buying their commercial property because there's going to be a lot of vacancies as a result of all the business losses. But we're very excited that we're able to open up in such a critical time. And really, I hope all of you just go on our website. It's new-wbc.org. And we're offering webinars in both English and Spanish. And if there's other languages you would like to see, just get in there, make an appointment, and we'll make it happen. But thank you, Faith, for all that you're doing. You are one of my heroes.
Well, thank you for what you do too, B. Let's continue empowering women. So I just want to call in Rhonda Brent, our NDC Board of Director. who does so much for the homeless in Los Angeles. Rhonda, there you go. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Long time no see.
I know. How are you? Thank you for calling on me, Faith. Yeah, just under this COVID-19 thing, it's really taken a toll on a lot of the people in the community. I also have been servicing the senior citizens, either running errands for them, picking up medications, delivering food for them. It's just they don't see any hope, especially by them being seniors. They don't really quite understand. They're not computer savvy. So I'm just doing my part within the community, just going around my, neighborhood and in outlying neighborhoods and just seeing if there's anything that they need. If they just need someone just to listen, just to talk to. Because a lot of them, they don't even have any loved ones, and they're missing their families. They don't have Zoom. They don't know how to do a lot of the technology that's out there for people. So I'm just doing my part in that area with my nonprofit, so I do still servicing the homeless. I've collaborated with another caterer. She goes out and she does everything because I don't do the whole contact thing right now. But I am going grocery shopping and then doing things for people that I can, as much as I can for people.
Wow. Thank you for what you do. You should partner with Mr. Eric Early. He does a lot of work for homeless in Los Angeles. I mean,
Okay.
You guys are so brave to do that.
Yeah. Somebody has to do it, Faith. Somebody has to do it. They have to know that they're
I
not
would
forgotten.
like to talk to you. Rhonda,
Okay,
I'd like-
Eric.
Yeah, Faith will give me your number and I'll call you.
Okay, thank you so much. I look forward to it.
So, Faith, and B, I just got through another Zoominar earlier. We call it a Zoominar now, but we had, yeah, we have highlighted the homelessness problem here in our area in Los Angeles, North Los Angeles. So we had the CEO for Hope of the Valley there. We had first responders and people that go on a daily basis, feeding our homeless, giving them shelter, supplying them with what they need in clothing and what have you. It was such a wonderful meeting, and there are obviously some resources available out there, and I'm calling our panel in here if you are aware of some, whether it be food, supplies that can help some of these impacted members of our community. The thought is that we're going to have a lot more after this is all done because a lot of people are going to be losing homes. What do we do about them? So I'm going to shoot that out, guys, and see how we can help them. Thank you.
I have a good news for you because Charter is sponsoring National Diversity Coalition for, they call it Safe and Healthy Kids. We will be giving like 3 pallets of flashlights, masks, weather strip. So it's like all kinds of essentials that we'll be giving out. We're gonna give this out in the Inside Island Pacific Supermarket in Long Beach and also in Oxnard. So I'd like to get all of you to join me when we have all of this to give away. There's another organization that will be working with NDC and that they'll be distributing like 10,000 masks. So for your, for you, Rhonda, and anybody else there, Belle for San Diego, sign up with this event that we're gonna have, and I'd like to invite also Eric to give away, this kinds of things. So we got 4 more minutes. So anybody wants to speak?
Okay, can we go international scene, Faith?
International what?
Scene. So you look at my background there. It's about 45 minutes away from the Spratly Islands.
Wow.
Palawan.
In Palau.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah, but this is what
there's
it
a lot of
is.
activity there right now, and somewhat scary. And so we need a lot of prayers there in the area. I think you know what I'm talking about. So
I know.
enjoy
Yes.
the islands as you see it right now, because Eric, you're probably aware, there's a lot of ships out there. They're big time operators there with all the activities that's going on there.
Yeah. And Ike, can you hear me?
10 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I like that beach you're on so much, I decided to walk over and join you on the beach.
All right, I love it. Okay.
And, you know, this really is paradise out here. So
right.
Let's jump in and, you know, enjoy the waves after we get off.
Okay.
But Pramod, I'm gonna pass it on to you, and you know, thank you so much for putting this together. Erica, Dennis, Alex, Ariel, the whole NAAC staff. Thank you. I mean, my staff are the best staff in the whole wide world.
We want to see Ariel.
I second it.
Where is that Ariel? The pretty Ariel. There you go.
Okay,
Thank you.
Pramod, I'll pass it on to you to close it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Maybe we should do more of these. So we'll think about that. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Please stay safe. And we look forward to reopening businesses, as everybody has said today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Very much. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. That was
Bye,
really
everyone.
lovely.
Thanks, Faith.
Bye.